Hello everyone and welcome to yet another Schmate video. I promised last video that I would come out with a video about trading our first round picks because that's a real possibility. And Mitch Kupchak, our owner, or not our owner, that's Michael Jordan, our GM for the Charlotte Hornets, has said that he's open to trading our draft capital, for lack of a better word. I don't think he said it in that exact sentence, but he hinted at it, so I had to make a video on it. And it makes sense, right? It makes a lot of sense for us to trade our draft capital. We tried drafting good centers. We used 3 of our draft picks on centers: Vernon Carey Jr., Nick Richards, and Kai Jones. They haven't really shined. Obviously, with Kai Jones, he's only through his rookie season, but he spent a lot of time with the G League, and the limited minutes he got for the Hornets, although he's really athletic, he can't really stretch the floor. He can't really rebound. He, still trying to get his body girthy. So in return of us, instead of us drafting another center who might just do the same thing as the 3 centers who drafted, although we drafted Kai Jones with a 20 overall pick, and we drafted Nick Richards and Vernon Carey in the second round. And I know we have a 13th pick that can get you a better college prospect like Mark Williams. I don't know. I'm kind of sick of these young prospects, these young centers going on our team and just spending the whole year in the G League while we really need a center. And we just have to suffer through, which was Cody Zeller, Bismack Biyombo, and now Mason Plumlee. I want us to get a center, and we have the draft capital now. We have the 13th overall pick and the 15th overall pick, so we have a pick in the lottery and then a pick right after the lottery. That is very intriguing, and we have a guy who's making $30 million who does not play in our most important games, and that's Gordon Hayward. So we have a salary guy, and we have draft capital. That is the recipe for a good trade with a certain team. And what are we trading for? Well, we're trading for a center. So I have I have 4 guys that I'm going to show you what I've come up with for them and the reasoning why they might get traded out of their current situation if they're unhappy, if the team is underperforming, if both's happening, which for some of these teams that is true. If they're a rebuilding team, if they don't really need the guy. I'm not just trading guys because it makes sense. Like, I'm not going to trade Jokic, and because that doesn't make sense. The Nuggets wouldn't trade Jokic. So I chose guys that would actually have a possibility if the cards play right. So first I have, which is a real possibility, Rudy Gobert. And this is because, say it comes out that one of them is unhappy, that Donovan Mitchell is unhappy with the scope of their team, or if Rudy Gobert is unhappy, if the organization is unhappy with their lack of success so far, they're going to look to trade one of their key pieces. And would you rather trade Rudy Gobert, or would you rather trade Donovan Mitchell? If I was a betting man, I would say the Utah Jazz organization would rather trade Rudy Gobert and keep Donovan Mitchell. So that's why I have him being traded. And what would this take? It would take a lot. Rudy Gobert, although he gets clowned on Twitter, is always on an all-defensive team, and he is just a rim presence, and he can finish. Obviously, he can't really stretch the floor, but he's a presence down low, and whether you like it or not, he is a good player. So I have Gordon Hayward, the 13th overall pick, and the 15th overall pick, Kai Jones, and if that's not enough, I'd add James Bouknight, because I believe I would believe Rudy Gobert is that influential to your team that I would include Kai Jones and Bouknight, because Kai Jones, we're not going to play him anyways if we do get a center, if we trade for a center. And Bouknight, I think Rudy Gobert is worth it. I think he's worth it to trade all of that for him. Obviously, he's like 29 years old, but we need LaMelo Ball to start winning, or else he's going to end up like Zion Williamson. There's going to be rumors coming out that maybe he's not happy with the organization, whatever. So Gordon Hayward, the 13th overall pick, the 15th overall pick, Kai Jones, and if that's not enough, Bouknight. That's for Rudy Gobert. Next person I have who's kind of in a similar situation as Rudy Gobert, although he's 10 years younger, DeAndre Ayton. Rumors are coming out that Monty Williams, the Suns head coach, isn't happy with DeAndre Ayton. Maybe there's an underlying reason why they didn't sign him to, the max extension that he was allocated for last offseason that he didn't sign, and he played it out this year. He had a really good year. Obviously, versus the Mavs, it was a tough series for him because the Mavs just spread out the floor and had their shooters do their thing. But with DeAndre Ayton, it's up in the air, right? Anything can happen through these next months before the next NBA season, and I could see DeAndre Ayton being on the move. Which for his case, there's either two ways that you can do this. Obviously, he was part of the 2018 draft class. His contract is up. He made $12 million last offseason. He's up for a near max to a max extension. And obviously, going to another team, it would give him less money. But if he's unhappy with the organization or vice versa, it's a possibility. So there's two possibilities here. We can either sign him in free agency. He's going to be a restricted free agent, so the Suns would have to match. And then if they match, they would get him. But if they don't match because they're unhappy with him, then if I was DeAndre Ayton, I would go to the highest bidder or the best organization that's offering money to me. Or we can do what we did with Gordon Hayward and do a sign and trade. That's if the Suns offer him the a max or an offer in return. Because he is a restricted free agent, if they match what another team offers him, they will ultimately get him. They just have to match the contract that the other team is offering. So if they do that and they still don't want him, they just offered it to him. We could do a sign and trade with the same package. I would do for Rudy Gobert. I would say I would do the same thing for DeAndre Ayton. He was a former number 1 overall pick. A lot of upside. He's only 23 years old, 24 years old. So that package is Gordon Hayward, Kai Jones, James Bouknight, and the 13th and 15th overall pick. If I was the Suns, there's probably better offers out there. So yeah, and if I want to make sense with these other teams, getting this package in return for their star centers. For the Utah Jazz, they traded away Joe Ingles. They need that presence at the 3 spot. That's Gordon Hayward. They're getting Kai Jones in return. They get a young point guard off the bench behind Donovan Mitchell and James Bouknight. And for the Suns, it's basically the same thing. You saw with the Suns, Chris Paul is aging. He can only pass it to so many guys. Those guys need to hit shots. And if Devin Booker's not doing his thing and Jay Crowder isn't making shots, you need someone else there. And I think they would look at Gordon Hayward as that kind of guy. And obviously Kai Jones, James Bouknight, the whole shabil. They get draft capital. All right. Our third guy, if you guys are staying with me here, our third guy. And these last two guys have been in trade rumors with us for the last 2 seasons, it feels like. Our next player is Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. I don't have James Bouknight in this trade. I don't think Christian Wood is the same great player as Rudy Gobert and as DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a step below that. I do. So I have Gordon Hayward, the 13th and the 15th pick, and Kai Jones. You guys see a similar strategy that I'm using with the Kai Jones. He's not going to play anyway, so you might as well package him. Maybe he can be great with another team. And for the Rockets, they have a proven scorer in Gordon Hayward that they can use with their young guys when they need to win games down the stretch, and Jalen Green is chucking up bad shots. They need that consistent guy. Maybe Gordon Hayward can be that guy. They are still rebuilding, so the draft capital of the 13th overall pick and the 15th overall pick gives you a lot of options, and you get Kai Jones, a young center with a rebuilding team. I think that's a pretty good package for Christian Wood. And obviously, if you plug this into NBA Trade Machine, the contracts don't match. So I have Christian Wood with Eric Gordon in return for the package I just said. That makes the contracts work. Christian Wood's only making $13 million. Obviously, he's dealt with injuries in his NBA career, but I think that's a pretty good trade. And if I was the Charlotte Hornets, I would be on the phone trying to get these done because these aren't bad packages. Again, you're trading away prime draft capital, a proven player who has injuries, and a young prospect in Kai Jones. This last one here, I would probably think the last 4 off seasons, I have seen Charlotte Hornet articles about trade rumors with Miles Turner, and it just never happened. It just never has happened. So I have Gordon Hayward, the 13th overall pick, and the 15th overall pick for Miles Turner and Ricky Rubio. I didn't check my research. I didn't check if Ricky Rubio is up for a contract, but I thought I'd plug him in here because Miles Turner isn't the same guy he once was. I think he made an all-defensive team 2 years ago. He's been in talks for Defensive Player of the Year, but he doesn't have that same impact that he seems he has. Maybe it's the opportunity. They're starting over a little bit. They traded for Tyrese Halliburton. There's less of an emphasis on Miles Turner, so I think Gordon Hayward, the 13th and the 15th overall pick, is a fine package for Miles Turner at this point. That's all I got for you guys. There are 4 players there. Obviously, there's more options that the Charlotte Hornets could venture off to. You got veteran guys, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, who can play solid minutes. But who's going to take that next step? Who's going to be the center that takes that next step? Is it going to be through the draft, or are we going to use this draft capital that we might not see again for the couple of years? Like these couple of years, this is the time to use it properly. And if we can get one of these guys, I think LaMelo stays happy. I think we win. I think we actually make the playoffs or get through the play-in to the playoffs and figure this out as an organization, because we just fired our head coach. We have contracts that are due. We have Miles Bridges, who needs a contract this offseason, Terry Rozier, who needs a contract next offseason. There's decisions to be made, and if you get a prime center like these 4 right here, I think that puts you in a good spot. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you guys later.